There we go. There we go. All right. It has been a minute since I was live on anything. But here we are now. This is a thing called Multiverse Designer. It is a new virtual tabletop and map builder in development. This is an alpha version. But let's tell a little bit about what this is first. So, like I said, it's a virtual tabletop and map builder, but it is designed for the player to be able to input their own rules into the game for it to run whatever rule set you want it to run. So, I am working on the Cyberpunk Red rule set by Artelsorian Games. If you didn't know, Cyberpunk 2077, the video game, is based in a world that has existed long before the game came out, since the late 90s, I think. Cyberpunk 2020, and then Cyberpunk Red, which is this thing right here. This is the core rule book for Cyberpunk Red. This is the main rules, and this is what I'm working on adding. I've GM'd the game last year with some guys that I work with. We had a pretty good campaign. Everyone was kind of new to the system. We were learning what was going on. They liked the video game. They liked Edge Runners, the anime. They realized that it was a tabletop game, so they asked me to learn how to run it for them to play. So that's what I did, and I really enjoyed it. So when I saw this thing coming out, you'll see in a second why it's also not your average map builder or VTT, as you will see in a second. But I've been trying to input the Cyberpunk Red rule set into this thing. So I've already done quite a bit of work. Right now we're trying to troubleshoot some things, and we will go from there. So I'm going to move me over to the other side, and hop in. So we're going to load just this test campaign. CPR test map. I need to change the rule set to that, and then hop into editing this map. So the first thing, as you can see, this is in 3D. If you've ever used a virtual tabletop, like, I don't really use any. The one that I had in mind is now gone, but oh well. It is usually not in 3D. I also need to real quick change the audio input to be that. Cool. Okay, so as you can see, it's in 3D. And that's one of the things that I really like about this, because it really turns your campaign into a video game, which some people like, some people don't like. I think that it's a cool concept. It also has like a built-in like cutscene editor. You can like video what's going on. It has built-in lip syncing for your characters. All sorts of animations built in. Thousands of assets to build your own worlds. This is my little test map. Default characters, very basic little space, but this is my little map to test the system. Things that I have done so far. this is what the programming language looks like right here. Things that I've done so far. Made a basic skill check. So if you know the system at all, or even if you don't, that's the basic skill. Like if I say roll perception or something, that's how you would do that right there. Initiative, pretty basic, but a very integral part of any system. The melee attack and the ranged attack is what I'm working on right now. So melee is pretty easy because the way that it works is you roll to hit, the other person rolls to dodge, whoever rolls higher wins, and then you roll damage. So that was pretty easy. And just to show you, let's do that. So this guy right here, I'm going to attack this guy. See, it brings up this little box of what weapon based on what they have in their character sheet. Just to make sure that he hits, I'm going to add some luck, which is a mechanic in Cyberpunk. Forgot to select who I'm attacking. Brings up the D10. If you don't know the system, Cyberpunk is really simple. The only dice that you need is a D10 and D6s. So, it's going to roll this D10. Rolls the 7. Evasion luck, so this is the other guy. NPCs don't have luck, but because I had to balance it for players and NPCs, it brings up the luck, or it brings up the evasion luck option. Because again, I want it to hit, I'm going to keep it at 0. But still has to roll for it. 8. He hit. Yay. Based on some stuff that I've already worked on, it loads up the correct number of dice for the damage. So we're gonna roll those. And then, boom, he swings and hits him. And you can see what just happened right here. So you can see that rolled to attack. Oh, I needed to start the clock. You can see rolled to attack, rolled a 7. His melee weapon skill is a 6. His dexterity stat is a 6. Added 5 luck. There's your total. Evade. Rolled an 8. Evasion skill of 6. Dexterity stat of 6. Which means that the DV difficulty value is 20. The damage roll, I rolled a 7. He doesn't have any armor, so he takes 7 damage. The damage is something that I haven't fully figured out yet. It's not applying damage correctly, but that's the other thing that I'm working on right now. So, ranged attack. This is, again, what the programming language looks like. It's pretty easy. It actually kind of reminds me of Scratch, if anyone ever used the Scratch animation software. It's very self-explanatory. Not self-explanatory. Self-explanatory is the wrong word. It's very intuitive once it clicks. It took me a while to get it to click, but once it clicks, it's actually pretty quick to go through and do some stuff. Real quick, I'm going to copy this and throw it over here. Cool. Okay, sorry. I'm apologizing even though there's no one here. But just to explain a little bit of what is happening here, this is the ranged attack action. So, select enemies, input what weapon you want to use, input if you want any luck, and then roll dice. So you saw all of this happen just now. The thing that makes it tricky, at least in the logic of the system, is that if the enemy has a reflex stat of 8 or higher, they can attempt to dodge bullets. With melee, like I said, it's pretty easy. It's always attack versus evade. So anyone can try to dodge a punch, but only people with high reflexes can try to dodge a bullet, which makes sense. So we need this if expression. So if the enemy's main reflex stat is greater than or equal to 8, then we run this action step right here, which states that if the condition, which I'm marking as always true, I'm pretty sure that's what that means. Maybe that's not what that means. That's what I'm experimenting with right now. If, so it will, then the enemy input will get this input field. Because remember, it only will run this it'll only run this if statement if the reflex is 8. So I don't need a new condition here. I can keep it just true. I think that makes sense. It might not be accurate, but I think that makes sense. So if the previous condition is true, then the enemy brings up this input field of whether or not they want to try to evade. The other thing about Cyberpunk is that evading is not always the best option for bullets, because if you try to evade, then whatever you roll sets the DV for the attacker. But if you don't try to evade, then the attacker's DV is set by the range and the weapon that they're using. So if you know that they're using a weapon that has really bad odds at that range, you might just want to let them go for it. Because if you try to evade and you crit fail, you've just set a very low DV for them to try to hit you with. So it's not always the best idea to evade. So you get this option. If you choose that you want to evade, then you get the option to add luck to the evasion, and then you roll the dice. So then we get to the resolution. Once again, if the reflex is greater than or equal to 8, then we get this expression. So if this is true, then this if statement comes into effect. This if statement is basically, do I hit, or does he hit, or does he miss? So if this reflex is true, then it runs the evasion DV. So you get your attack DV versus your evasion DV. I also need to change this because Paolo, the guy who, one of the developers for this game, the guy who made Criteria, which is the programming language again, he's been very helpful in working with me to figure out what I'm trying to do, because he doesn't know Cyberpunk Red, so he's basing all of the programming on D&D, which I don't know anything about. So it's been fun interactions, me asking how to do something and then him trying to understand what I mean to figure out how to do it. But one thing that I did say, this table field right here, I have a table for all of the weapons. This one right here. So for every weapon in the core book, except the exotics, I'm starting small. For all the basic weapons in the core book, we've got this little table. So it's their name, whether or not they're melee, whether or not they're exotic, the weapon type, how much damage they do, and then some other stats that I thought would be important for the game to know. One of those stats that you've already seen used is this damage field right here, and that's what it uses to determine how many dice to roll for the damage. What I'm trying to get it to do now is I don't actually remember, to be honest. What was I just working on? Okay, to find the skill to use the weapon. So each weapon uses a different skill. For example, you don't use the handgun skill to whack a stick. You don't use the shoulder arms skill to shoot a pistol. So, using the weapon input field, which is when the player chooses what weapon to use, it needs to look up the skill for that weapon based on that table. So right now, it was working for me to do a table field expression. However, if things get more complicated in the programming, that might cause an error. So I need to add an inventory field expression, and this is the thing that Paolo just explained. He posted a video on it on the Tupan Games YouTube channel. If you want to go check that out, highly recommend. If you want to learn more about Multiverse Designer, you can get the, I think you can get the alpha right now. I was a Kickstarter supporter, so I have some early access, but I think that you can still get at least like the Mapbuilder demo, or the beta version of the Mapbuilder, I think is available right now on Steam. You don't have all of this, or at least not all of it. You might have some of it, but this is like this is a pre-alpha, very focused on criteria. So it has all of the criteria stuff, whereas the beta version that's out right now for the Mapbuilder, I think, has some criteria, but not all of it. So I don't remember what I'm looking for right now. Oh, okay. So weapon input field goes into the field, and then that gets plugged into the weapon. Yes, this is correct. I think this should work. And if it doesn't, we will come back to it. So it pulls the skill, which then gets plugged into this information. Infos are subroutines, base processes, whatever you want to call it. Basically, if it's something that you're going to be doing all the time, then you want to set it as an info, because then you can pull that info into the actions. This info, the skill base, in Cyberpunk, you have your stat and your skill. You kind of already saw that when I was showing you in the journal. You have your stat and your skill. I have one viewer. I don't know who it is, but yay, welcome. You have your stat and your skill and your roll. So in order to do anything, you roll a d10, you add it to your skill, you add it to the corresponding stat, and that's what you get as your result. That stat plus skill is called your character's base in that skill. So for every roll, you're going to want to know the skill, the stat, and the d10. So I just made info for both of those things. So it adds up the dice plus the skill plus the stat. So that's what this is doing right here. So it's taking the skill, plugging it into the skill base, and taking that end result plus the dice, and that's the total result right there. The enemy evading, again, because this is all in the if they can evade, then same thing pretty much. You have the enemy's evasion base plus their dice roll, and that is set as the DV. So we've got this if condition right here. If the total dice roll for the attack is greater than the DV set by the enemy's evasion, then we get these results right here, which is they hit. So if the attack roll is greater than the enemy's evasion roll, you get hit. And so it shows an animation, it shows a text. You kind of saw all of that earlier. If this is not true, so if the roll is not greater than the attack or the defense, the evasion, then it shoots. The animation is that they shoot, but nothing happens. And unlike D&D, this is a defender wins in a tie. So it's not, I know in D&D, it's meet or beat to pass. In Cyberpunk Red, it's just you have to beat it. Defender wins. Defender's advantage, whatever it's called. So if that is not true, then it does this. If A lot of if statements in this. But remember, that whole thing right here was based on the condition of him being able to dodge. Of the enemy being able to dodge. So if the enemy cannot dodge, if this condition is false, then we run this condition. Or not condition, but we run this expression. So this expression is based on the range DV, like I said earlier. So this is not the evasion DV, this is just the range DV. So we have another table field, which means I need to add another inventory field here. Move you down to inventory. There we go. So the weapon selected. This will be very similar, except instead of having the enemy also roll a skill, it's just based on the range table, which I also have in the table somewhere else. So weapon input field going into the inventory, which plugs out the weapon, checks for the skill, goes into the info base. This whole top line is basically identical to this whole top line right above it. The difference thing down here, again, we need another inventory field going in here. Boop. This brings out the weapon type, which goes into the range DV table. I don't think I need another inventory field. I'm not sure, though. I'll need to ask Paolo if that'll matter. But we've got another table field here, which gives us the range. Now, distance, I'm not sure how distance works in Multiverse Designer yet. So for now, I'm just leaving it at a base range. Eventually, this will change, and this field right here will be determined by the actual distance between the two players. But I don't know how to actually figure that out yet. And then it will journal the range DV, and then again we get another condition for this if statement. So if sorry, I have an actual chat. When I entered the game window, frame rate of when you entered the game window, frame rate of your insert dropped 1 or 2 frames per second. Yeah, the game is running my GPU very, very high right now. I'm gonna save this real quick and then drop this thing a bit. I don't really need quality right now because again, this is just to make sure that the criteria works, not that it looks good. So I'm gonna drop stuff down a little bit. I could drop it down even more, but let me know if that helps. I'm not watching my stream, so I don't know what it actually looks like. That's not what I'm looking for. Gotcha. Okay. So drop frame rate in the game, does that smooth out OBS? That's a good thought. I don't know how to do that though. I mean, now that I've dropped it, I think it's better, but like the game is using like 99% of my GPU. I mean, I'm just talking about the process, really. So switching between picks is not gonna is not really gonna work. I mean, it's really just because it's new. Okay, cool. If this is, well, let me go back into it. So is this better? And I'm in the window. It's running the game. I mean, I can drop the FPS to like basically 0 if I need to, because again, I don't really care about that. It's just the I'll drop it even more. Let's go to 40. Why not? So if you missed at the beginning, cool. All right, as long as you guys can see and read, because again, the game is cool, but it's not what we're focusing on right now. If you missed the beginning, this is a cool. As long as I'm not, if you missed the beginning, this is a new virtual tabletop and map builder called Multiverse Designer, where you can make your own rule sets. It's going to come out with D&D 5th edition as like fully developed in the game. Along with a couple others based on popularity and based on they might do some sort of survey of some kind. But until then, I'm going to work on the Cyberpunk. And then if Cyberpunk ends up being one of the ones that they develop, then that they come out with, they'll probably just take the one that I'm making. Yes. Okay. Cool. Have you heard of Multiverse Designer before? Do you know what this is? Did you come from the link I put in the Discord, or did you just happen to find it? But thanks for watching and for hopping in. Okay, cool. So you know what's going on here. Alrighty. So, okay, I need to pull up. Paulo sent me a video correcting this problem that I was having. So let's make sure that I'm doing it right. Not what I'm looking for. So again, basically this inventory field, input field thing. Oh, unless this is supposed to be here. Whoa. That's supposed to be here, and then that's going to be that. Now it's glitching. I think this is what it means, though. Oh. It's really glitching. Cool. There is a new update. I don't know if he's pushed it out yet or not. Yeah, I don't know what this is doing. I'm going to swap out and come back. Where you can actually change the size of... You can change the size of the criteria field. Like you can zoom in and zoom out, which will be very useful. Okay, so maybe this is supposed to be inventory, and this is supposed to be weapon. I don't know what it is doing, but it's being very annoying. Okay, let's do the same thing down here. That should be inventory. That should be weapon. It's like dropping it down. The effect, none. Oh, because that's like special effect. Like the option is fireball here, so that's like a explosion or something. That's not as in like apply damage. Apply damage I do need to work on getting in here, but for whatever reason my apply damage info still isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. So that is another thing that I'm planning to work on right now, or in this stream. Yeah, I mean, if you haven't, I was clipping there, dang. If you haven't really tried it, I think it's fun. I haven't done much with the map building. That's not my area of expertise. One of the reasons that I was actually fond of supporting Multiverse Designer was because of the AI map builder thing. If you're here from the Kickstarter, they do have that for the dungeon right now. But one of the rewards that I think that we got to is to have the AI just kind of for anything. And that's one of the reasons that I really like Multiverse Designer. I mean, you can try the map building. So there's two different versions of Multiverse Designer right now. There's the Criteria Alpha, and then there's the main version that is like kind of the main thing. From my understanding, and I don't want to mess this up, so I'm going to look in the Discord real quick. From my understanding, the normal version is the one that you can build maps and it's fine. The Criteria version, which is what I'm running right now, and you have to put in a code in Steam to get access to, that's the one that the map's not going to do the right thing. From my understanding. So let me look up. I know how to find that message. I think, or I don't. Oh, actually, that would have gotten me there. Gotcha. Yeah, I was really just waiting to try out Criteria. Again, I don't have the creativity to make a map. I have the creativity to make a campaign. But I don't. Map building is not something that I currently have the expertise in. I mean, like I said, I'm new to tabletop games. I had never played any until last year when I was asked to GM for a Cyberpunk Red campaign. So, map building is not my thing. So, is this connected to anything? This has to be connected to something, but I don't understand what it's... Again, it's just being really glitchy now for some reason. I wonder if the frame rate drop is, like, affecting this. It shouldn't. But it might be. Okay. Melee attack looks fine. Okay, cool. Here we go. No worries. Like I said, I'm here because I've been working on it for the past couple days and was getting bored and thought that it might be useful. Not bored of working on it, but bored of just kind of doing it on my own. And having, I mean, the criteria courses that Tupan is uploading are great, but I think having like something else of someone who's actually trying to like work through it and not knowing what everything is, and kind of just keeping a record of my progress in learning it, I thought would be kind of good. Especially if, like I said, I mean, I do plan to publish this version because, like, you can publish them, like, you can publish them to the internet or whatever. Wow, my brain is not wanting to work. But you can publish them, like, you can share them in Steam Workshop for people. So I want, if something stops working, I want people to kind of have an idea of what my thought process was behind things so they can maybe fix it. Or just see how I set things up with my mentality. Because, again, I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I'm learning. So, what he said, because I had put this condition right here, I'd put it in the wrong place. So he told me that I needed to have a new action step in the resolution. I mean, I have thought about that. I've checked. I've read. I assume you mean like Artal, like the game makers. I have read their like copyright rules, and basically their whole. It's a little tricky. I will have to check, but basically what their whole thing is they don't want it to be like they don't want something to replace their stuff. So like a VTT that automates everything, but you still have to like know how the game works and like get the rules and learn how to make a character and all that stuff. That's more important to them from what I understand than like nitpicking every little like community made thing. And this is an interesting one because although it's for a virtual tabletop, it is still community made because I'm still spiking so much. Sorry. I'm not with, I don't work for Tupan. Is that working? Am I turning down the right thing? This might just be the volume, actually. Am I spiking? Is my audio fine? So it's like a weird gray area for me because it's not a VTT putting the rules in. It's a community. It's a fan of Cyberpunk building the rules for a virtual tabletop. So I don't really know where that falls. It is an interesting gray area. I did send them an email at some point about it, and they never responded. So, but yes, once everything comes out, I'll be more concerned about it. Like once it's done, I'll be more concerned about it. And if I don't get to publish it, then oh well. Again, it's the only one that I play, so I'll use it myself. But we'll see. No, it's a good point. Because I certainly don't want to like take away from them at all. So okay. He said that I had to put this input in a secondary action step in the resolution because I couldn't put it up here because it doesn't use any of these inputs until the resolution. So in the resolution, if this condition is true, then run this action step. This action step states another if which I'm setting as true because it should only run this if this condition is true anyway. Which just means that else is going to be blank. Which is fine. If this is true, which it will always be if this is being run, then they will get the option to try to evade. If they choose to evade, then they can put in their luck. And if they choose to evade, then they roll a d10. If they don't, then none of this happens. And it leads to the final resolution, which, again, like I went through earlier, if this is true, then run this. If not, then run this. In my head, all of this makes sense. And then it ends in a blank else because nothing will happen. But it's not doing what I want it to do. So both these characters are the same, and they both have a reflex stat of 8, which means that that condition is true. However, it hasn't been working. So I'm going to choose a pistol. Attack luck just to make sure that he hits. So, in the criteria, this is still the first actor input. It hits. Not necessarily, actually. Okay, so it's still not working. I kind of am also here live doing this, so Paolo can see it and watch and understand what I'm doing to maybe tell me what I'm doing wrong. Because it's like it's somehow not seeing. It's somehow not doing this. Like, it's not checking this condition or something. That's my assessment of what's happening. Because in the journal, it knows that reflex is 8. Like, it's identifying that, but it's still not doing it. Greater or equal to 8. Where do I have it journaling that, actually? I have it journaling that down here, which is fine. But I don't understand. Because... yeah, it knows the stat is equal to 8. So if that is true, then it should run this, and it's just not. So I don't really know what to do with that. I need Paolo to get back to me on that. Maybe condition needs to be renamed to not be pointing to the same thing. Like the second one down here. Maybe. Maybe, but I don't really know. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, my thought was, if one condition is true, then just keep using that condition, because that's the thing that's dependent. But like, I don't. Because again, it knows that it's true, but it's not bringing up this at all. And that's the part that I don't understand. Because even, like, ignoring the rest of this, it should bring up this thing. The if without the else condition. This one. Yeah, it just doesn't do anything. I mean, you don't need the else. It'll just kind of move on to the next thing in the line. But yeah, the else is still, yeah, this else is still connected to this if statement. So if, then, I mean, it would probably make more sense if you saw it without all the stuff in it. But it goes, if condition is met, then this first thing. If condition not met, else whatever I put in here. But if condition not met, then just move on. So don't put anything in else. Because this one down here is also just left blank. There's yeah, that's the only one that's left blank. But there's two that are left blank. That one up there, and then the one at the very bottom. But again, I'm not sure. This one? The one with the checkbox? The checkbox just makes it true. From my understanding. I'm pretty sure. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I do need to take this and add the condition to that. That is possible. But I think that, I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, checking that makes it true. I mean, that does feel like kind of a weird... I mean, why would you use an if statement if the condition's always true? So maybe that's not what this means, but... I mean, it makes sense in this context. So the part... Which part is played here and which should be? So what it is doing right now... it's kind of honestly running a weird mix of the two. Because it's running... Actually, hold on. Let's look. So it's running... Okay, so here's what it's running right now. So I'll run it in the actual map again in a second. But what you'll see from the journals is that it starts off and it runs select enemies, input what weapon, input if you want any luck, and then roll the dice. It shows that the reflex is 8 in the journal. That was showing up. But it immediately jumps to... It immediately jumps to this one right here. Which runs the evasion DV. So notice this little symbol right here. This is the evasion DV as opposed to the just miss DV, which is this little target guy. So it is running this expression. Which means that it is running this greater than equal or greater or equal expression correctly. But it's not bringing up this thing at all. I mean, if you look in the Discord, the message right before where I sent the link is where Paolo's trying to help me understand this. And he says, don't forget that you need to add the current resolution area first, an if, and inside the if, another action step, and finally, in the enemy section, the fields. Maybe? I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't run everything in parallel, because like that was my main problem. I didn't have all of these ifs when I first set it up, but it still wasn't working because Paolo said that it doesn't run everything in parallel because it can't. Because you have to choose the enemies before the enemies can choose anything. I think. Yes. Yeah, something like that. Like, I originally... So this is the melee one. This is the one that's simpler and doesn't have all of the ifs. This enemy input is just always there. Like, you don't have a conditional for the enemy input. It's just once the enemy is selected, they get this input. But he said that right now there isn't a way to use like this if statement just in the enemy input, which is where I originally had it. So he said, don't forget that you need to add to the current resolution area, so this one, an if statement, and inside this if, another action step, which is this, and finally, in the enemy section, the fields. So that's what this is right here. I'm sure I'm just missing something, and something's out of place and not what he meant. But I don't understand. The other thing that I wanted to do right now, so I have this list of projects. The other thing that I wanted to do, I'm going to take a break on this just because I don't know what else to try as of right now. So the other thing that I need to do is work on the exploding and imploding dice mechanic. So for Cyberpunk Red, Cyberpunk doesn't have advantage and disadvantage like D&D does. What Cyberpunk has is an exploding and imploding dice mechanic, which means, for people who don't understand that term, it means that if you roll a 10, or if you roll the highest on the dice, in Cyberpunk's case a 10, then you roll again and you add that second value to the first roll. If you roll a 1, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the journal was for. But again, that's what was making it really confusing, because the journal was registering it, but it wasn't pulling it up. Yeah. Like, that is what the journal is for. Or that's what the journal can be used for. But again, so let's do it again. Use the right weapon. Use a 5. Accept. So, roll the 7 plus the skill. That all is fine. It registered that this was the right stat. It registered the number correctly. But it didn't go into the right... It didn't trigger the condition. Somehow. If enemy reflex is 8... then enemy input oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I don't actually think I need this if statement. Well, he said I do, though. Now I'm confused. Oh, Fezzik is typing. So Fezzik in the Discord is the other person who's working on criteria. He's working on GURPS, the GURPS rule system. If you don't know what the GURPS is, I think it's the generic universal role-playing system, or general universal role-playing system. I'm not sure what the G stands for. But It's another rule set that he is working on doing, and he has put more time in it than I have. So I've been very much benefiting from his knowledge and trial and error. I don't know if he's going to type anything that's useful to me right now, or if he's talking about his own stuff. But either way, it's always exciting when he joins the chat. It's basically just him, me, and Paolo talking about criteria. That's pretty much what the entire Multiverse Designer Discord has been for the past, like, week. He's working on something else in an if that it does not have to do with what I'm doing right now. But, okay, once again, Paolo said, are you expected to see try to evade? Yes. Yes, you're expected to see the try to evade input field. Correct. I'm thinking that I don't need this if, because I have this if up here. But he said to put it inside the if, another action step. Oh. Yeah, hold on. I don't need this. Ooh, wait, hold on. I don't know the best way to get rid of this. Move it outside the if. Move it outside the if. Criteria is still a tad buggy. Move it outside the if. Okay, now I can delete the if. Gone. Okay, so if this is true, which it is, then run this action step. The action step, which is no longer conditional, well, the action step is conditional, but the inputs are no longer conditional in and of themselves. It'll run these input fields. Then it will run this resolution, and the resolution is based on the ifs. Let's try that. Subtle difference, but let's see if that does anything. Yeah, new journal is like this thing right here. Range attack, pistol, add some luck just because, select the enemy. Okay. Roll for attack. Nah, it fell off the world. Still isn't working though. Still says hit. That time I did get rid of the journal thing. Range attack, action. I don't understand it. Dice has fallen from world. Yeah, it just basically cancels the simulation. I mean, it doesn't really do anything. So the thing with one of the things that's interesting is that Multiverse Designer doesn't... The dice roll is not just aesthetic. The dice roll is actually a physical simulation of a dice to result in a random number. So it's not just like a random number generator and then the dice is for show. The dice is actually a thing. However, if the dice falls off the world, then it just takes whatever value it was on when it fell off the world. So it doesn't really matter. I can shorten the thing. I'll do quick dice. I like the dice roll, so I'm not a fan of the quick dice, but for testing it is more convenient. Ooh, I got a crit. But it still isn't doing the right thing. Let's look at it again. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Okay. Actor input. It's doing all of this right. It asks to roll the dice. It should. Oh, I'm getting an error. Is everything still fine? YouTube is sending me an error. Oh. Oh, I'm gonna have to cancel the quick roll. That's actually hilarious. So, I've actually noticed that a couple times, and I might need to say something about that to Paolo. But when you quick roll the dice, I don't know if you noticed, but the dice starts spinning insanely fast, and it has actually caused the game to crash a couple times because it just starts spinning so fast, and since it is trying to still process it, I guess it's just it doesn't like it. I assume that's what happened. I might be incorrect, but I assume that's what happened because I have noticed that before. Okay, but anyway, back to this thing. Ranged attack. Well, I don't know if that's gonna do anything, but that's a dramatic. Hold on, maybe I'm just stupid. Hold on. What I just noticed was that I had this action set as a turn order action rather than a players and GM action. I don't really know what that means. I don't know what the difference is. I know that initiative is a turn order action and everything else is not, but I don't know what that changes in the background. So let's try this again. Maybe it's legitimately something that simple. I doubt it. I hope it is. No, it still says hit. Okay. Okay. Let's keep working on it then. Actions. Okay, it's a player and GM action. It's a single actor. Let's go back to basics here. Is valid. Yes. Action step. You choose a ranged action. It makes a journal. Actor input. Select enemies. Works. Input field weapon. Works. Input field luck. Works. Roll dice. Works. Resolution, because he said that we can't do anything until the resolution step. So, resolution. If this is true, then run this action step. The condition being enemy reflex stat is greater than or equal to 8. Let's add the journal just in case. Then if that is true, then run this action step, which does not have an actor input, but does have an enemy input. Namely, do you want to try to evade? If you click yes, it should bring up the evasion option. And then you roll the dice. But again, it registers this, but then skips all of this and runs this without the dice. Am I a moron? Wait a second. No, it's evasion roll. That was why I named it something different. So that's not the problem. Sorry, I thought that I had accidentally duplicated this dice roll where I was just using the attack roll twice, but it's not. No, it's called something different, so that's not what it's doing. And either way, it should still... Beginning of the then section says ranged attack. Yeah. That's just what it shows up in the journal. And I have to put something there. That's just for the journal, though. But, actually, let's have it say something different to see if it uses it. So, new journal. So, if this is true, then we should get this journal saying test. let's try that. Try it again. Once again, use luck, use a pistol. Crit. And notice it's not saying test. Oh, wait, no, it is. It's right there. I'm just blind. Okay. So it is seeing that, but it's not bringing up the input. So it is doing the action step. Wait. Wait, what are you saying? Hold on. Oh. Oh. I don't know what that means or how to fix it, but it's like flipping it. So notice we have, so Rocker Boy ranged attack should be the dice roll plus, well, no, those are all in the resolution. So that's actually right. Which means that it is running that resolution. So that means that it is running this, and it is running this resolution. But for whatever reason, it's just still not bringing up the input fields. I don't know why. Okay. I want to move on. There is 2 tests, is there? Okay, so all of these 4 lines. Oh, wait, what? Over here? There's this test. But not the one for Dex. There's this test, which it says. Okay. Yeah, I don't understand. And there are other things that I also would like to get done. So for now, I've tried to do what Paolo was suggesting. Maybe I'm not understanding it correctly, which is very probable. So I'm going to move on to the exploding dice. All sheets and return value. Return type integer. Yes. So one of Paolo's last YouTube tutorials, the Criteria Course 202, was him figuring out. Sorry, I'm playing with this. It is a little USB powered fan that I keep on my desk, and I just fidget with it. Sorry if that is distracting. Let's see where the resolution gets the dex dice. This one? I mean, if you keep bringing up questions, I will keep working on it because, like, I mean, if you can help me figure it out, then great. Because this is like, I mean, people use guns more than they use, melee. So, if we can solve this, this would be a big, like, a pretty big part of the game. Especially if I can understand how the conditional evasion thing works, and then I might be able to translate that to future things. But is this the value that you mean? The dex? This one? Or which one? So all of like the little dice icons are the dice rolls. Everything else is from the skill base info. 6, 6, 14. What are those? Yeah. So those are from doop. Those are from this thing right here. This enemy info skill base. But again, so you're right to point that out, which means that it is pulling this this process, the information, which is over here, which is a subroutine. It is pulling this information, but it's supposed to add that data to a dice roll, but it's not having me input the dice roll. Yeah, evasion is 8 because that's his skill. Evasion is a skill. So he has 8 in evasion and 6 in dex, and so it's adding 8 to 6 to get 14. That's what this box right here, that it's doing all of that work. It's supposed to. I mean, it makes sense to me that it's not, because again, like you just pointed out, it is pulling that data of his skill and stat levels, but it's not adding it to the dice roll because it didn't have me roll the dice. No, it's basically it's like, so if I were to, I mean, I can relink it if it would stop freaking out on me. So I'll relink it. Maybe it is just a weird glitch or something, but so the way that it works, this dice roll, this is the input that should come up if he wants to evade. It's this roll dice command right here. And so you grab this little Multiverse Designer logo and you drag it over here, and it puts it right there. But again, since it's not pulling up, since it's not bringing up the inputs, it has nothing to add to the skill base, so it's not doing anything. No, so the evasion luck would only show up if it had a value inputted. The way that I have it set up. I don't have it journal luck if there's no luck, just to keep it clean, cuz usually, like, using luck is not the normal, but I use it all the time to make sure that I get the result that I want for the testing. But yeah, I don't know what else to do because everything makes sense in my head. If, again, it knows that this is true. It is registering the correct value of the reflex, but it's not bringing this up. And to prove that it knows the correct value of the reflex, it's running this first condition. Like, it's running this true condition. None of it. That's the problem. I think, if I understand what you're asking. Which part of this enemy input box do you see the caption? None of it. But again, like I was saying, and this is what I don't understand, it's running this first result. I don't know what the condition is called. I don't know what it's called. It's running this first then, which means that it knows that this is true because it's running this first option. Because again, this is the icon that it's showing in the journal. So it's running this, but because it's not letting me it's not bringing up the input, it doesn't have a dice roll to add to that value. So I don't understand why, if it knows that this is true, which it does, because again, it knows it down here, it's not bringing up this input. This whole thing, that's what I'm trying to focus on. I just don't know what else to do. Look at the part that does not get played. These things? This is what's not showing up. These ones up here? The parts below don't look the same. Where? Yeah, okay. So these right here. And actually, real quick, I want to change something just to see what happens. Real quick, I'll go back and focus on what you're asking. I just want to, if I change this value to where it's no longer true, I want to see what happens. I haven't tried this yet. I've never actually modified that value. So let's just real quick see what happens if I change the value where it is no longer true. So everything looks the same. Oh. Okay, well that's, yeah. It's still, okay, well now I'm confused. Because now it still ran it even though it's no longer true. I mean, you don't need those input fields to be... Oh. Yeah, yep, that's... Yep. Yep. In my head, I was changing... Yeah. In my head, I was lowering his reflex, not... Yes, thank you. Thank you. You are correct. My brain was saying I'm going to lower his reflex stat so it's no longer true, but instead I lowered the thing that was right in front of me, which is the greater field, which makes it still true. You are correct. Let's try it again. I'm gonna use a different luck value just to differentiate these things. Oh, okay. I thought it was gonna go over the wall. Well, wait, did nothing happen? Did they even do an animation that time? I didn't actually notice. I was looking at the journal. Did they even do an animation? No. Okay. 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 That's a kind of big deal. So, because this wasn't true, it didn't do any of that. That makes sense, actually. So I need to move these resolutions. No. Ah! Sorry, I'm getting confused now. All of the if-then statements are messing with my head. Okay, but what we just figured out is, if it's not true, it just stopped. Like, nothing happened. Like, none of these if-then conditions were run. Possibly, but it shouldn't be. So if something's nested where it shouldn't be nested, then that could be the problem. But again, all of the if-then conditions are just confusing my head and my eyes. Because basically, and I explained this earlier, but it's confusing. If they have a reflex of 8 or higher, then they have the option to evade. If they choose to evade, then it changes what you're rolling against, and it gives them the option to roll. If they don't choose to evade, then you just roll against the normal DV. So I might have something nested in the wrong place. I enter this box on the first check. Okay. So, you are correct. Oh! Wait, I might actually not need these. Oh, wait a second. Yeah. You're right. You're right. I have something nested incorrectly. Which means I actually don't need... Oh. Ah! It's getting hard for me to, like, differentiate what's in what now. I think that you're right, though, and that might be what I'm missing. I might just have something nested where it shouldn't be. Okay, so so again, so everything above here is fine. All of this input works the way it's supposed to. Everything up to this point on the screen is okay. If this is true, right. I think I understand. Well, agreed. And that's where this is. The resolution is after the attack roll. because that was my problem. I originally just had it in the enemy input section, where like this conditional used to just be in the enemy input, and Paolo said that it didn't work like that. Oh, wait, no, I get what you're saying. Sorry, I misunderstood. I get what you're saying now. If... Because where is this else connected to? Wait a second. I can highlight it. Haha, highlights. Maybe. Maybe I can't. Oh, there we go. Okay. Highlights. Cool. Useful. Oh! Yeah, you're right. I am absolute. Not all of this needs to be in this if condition. This whole thing should be in this else, not that else, I think. Which... Okay, let's just check this real quick. This might not have been what you were saying, but... This resolution should receive as condition the attack roll, not the reflex test. Yes. Yeah. So I had the whole thing, including the one if it's not true, within the same if then else. So even though it wasn't, so because it wasn't true, it skipped all of that and I had nothing in the else condition. So now that I have this in the else condition, that at least should work, especially since it's not true anymore. Since I haven't changed it back down to 8. Let's do 3 luck. This should at least just roll against the range DVs does not have a line. Okay. We have an error, which is good because we haven't had that before. Which means it's a different problem. So that has to do with the tables. Which, did it stop again? No, it's still running. It's just being very slow. I don't understand how the time works in this game yet. Okay. That is good, though. That is progress. An error is progress. So that just means that it has to do with the table range. And I actually don't know if I made... No, I did make a range DV. Oh. I didn't fill it with anything, though. That's on me. That's okay. So that's a different problem. Oh, no, now, yes, it is. No, wait, what? I filled some of them? I filled one of them. Okay. That's fine. I can do that later. That's an easy fix that has nothing to do with what I'm actually working on. But that means it worked. It did what it was supposed to that time. It was not true. So... And that actually might fix the rest of it. So let's change it back to be true. And run it again. Because now that... that is actually a fair point. That is one way to do it. Let's do that. Weapons, new weapon. Let's give him an SMG because that is the field that you have. Okay. Ranged attack. Attacking you with an SMG. I did change it back, though. So, hopefully we'll get to roll against the evasion this time. But let's still give you some... Roll for Rocker Boy. I should get the inputs. Still not getting the inputs. Okay. So, we're narrowing things down. We are narrowing things down. That's all we can hope for. Let's false this again, just so we can see if the range DV part of it is working. SMG, 4 luck. Okay, it acknowledged the range DV, and I rolled much higher than it, so that is working. That appears to be working, because it pulled out the correct DV based on the range. So, if the person can't evade, everything works fine. It's just as soon as they're capable of evading, that the criteria falls apart. Which is a very interesting development. Okay. Bring this back to being true. Thank you for your help. I appreciate you putting up with my rambling to try to assist me. Well, I mean, the dex roll, yes, but also, like, all of this input. Because, again, it shouldn't bring up the roll unless he chooses to evade. And it's not bringing up the option to evade. So that's still what we're missing. For some reason, the condition to activate this action step still isn't... Wait a second. Let's try something else here. Let's nest this differently. This part of this action step... Oh. No, because that conditional is on all of it. So that doesn't work. I was going to try to take away this condition and just put it in the input fields, but all of the rest of that is nested in that conditional. So... that won't work. At least not the way I was thinking it would. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think that... I've rather that if carried down to the full thing. Focus on the then and see if it can be changed. Input field docs and something else. Let's see if I put him into actor input. We'll move him somewhere else for a second. If this is true, then will it bring up any inputs at all? Let's try that. Let's see if it'll give me any. Okay. Oh! Oh! Oh, solved. Solved. Frickin' solved. Okay. So, this enemy input. That's so stupid. Okay, I get it, but that took so long to figure out. Okay, so notice at the beginning here, what is the first thing that the actor has to do? The actor selects enemies, and that enemy is the defining trait for all of the enemy inputs. So, when we come down here and was trying to run the enemy inputs, it didn't know who the enemy was because this is a new action step that hadn't identified who the enemies were yet. Okay. Okay. I don't know how to identify the enemy, though. Because the actor... Unless, let's just see. Actor input, select enemy. But the enemy should be the same enemy. I don't know how to reference this. I don't know how to take that enemy and transfer it over to a new action step. Because I don't want them to have to choose the same person a second time after they've rolled. That doesn't make any sense. But I don't know how else to do that. No. Because that just is like, that's just how many enemies they can select. So, and a ranged attack isn't always a single enemy. But I get what you're thinking, but I don't. Oh, actually down here though. Single enemy. This second one, if I do single enemy and somehow link this to this enemy, that would work. But I don't know how to link that. Okay. We have a new problem though. As in, we've solved the issue. We solved why it wasn't working. But now we don't know how to link the two action steps together. No. You can't just like, oh. No, because that's going to try to drag this. This is going to move this, I think. Yeah, no. You can't link those together. I would need to somehow turn this into like a variable or something. And then use that variable as the enemy, which I don't think is possible. I mean, it might be, but I don't have any idea how to do that. Because again, you can't use, so anything that you can link to something else, or anything that has an input that you can link to something else has this little logo that you can drag to link it to things. But the enemy does not have that. If actor input, select enemies, other input, none. Actor. Oh. So basically, that's like if you look down here, I do that. So I know you haven't seen it work, but it's supposed to. Like, So this is a checkbox if they want to evade. If they choose to evade, so the input turns into this input rather than its own input, is what that means. But it would, again, see, the select enemies isn't even an option for the input. That might be a thing that has no relevance in D&D. So he hasn't thought about making the select enemies something that you can link to something else. But it might be... that might be what I need. That might be what I need. I thought maybe, but it doesn't. Because again, notice that all of these other inputs have the symbol to link it to something. But again, select enemies doesn't. Okay, but you know what? I'm actually happy with that. If we have to do something with like turning that into a variable, well, it was like we can't even turn it into anything though because we can't link it to anything. So I don't know. That might be where we have to stop on this one, because we figured out why it's not working, and that is good. We did figure out the problem. Now we have to figure out how to link the enemy, which is less of an issue because again, I don't think that's something that I can do. But just to make sure that everything else works, let's have it let's make it where he does have to select twice. So I added the enemy, select enemy option. Okay, so this is the first selection. So if this works, it should bring up, unless it just defaults to the same enemy selected. And this is the select the enemy a second time. Interesting. And now it brings up the try to evade. And see, if I choose to evade, then it brings up the evasion, the evasion luck, which, sure, let's add 1 point of luck to evade. Roll evasion. Ooh. Still hit though. Okay, so let's look at this thing. So Rocker Boy test. I need to go through and change the names back to what they should be though. But we've got handgun skill, reflex stat plus the 4 luck, which was good, and we have the roll plus this correct stuff plus the 1 luck. So it works. Yes, exactly. So this works. I just need to change out what this is called. I'm gonna call this contested ranged attack, because if it's just a ranged attack, then it's just after the range DV. But if it's a contested, then it's going to be after evasion. I think that makes sense. I can change it if it turns out to be something weird. I'm going to take away the journal of the 8, because again, it'll only do this if that's true. Select in enemies is the one thing that needs to be able to be transferred, but everything else worked that time. Oh, somewhere the dice roll was doing something weird. It was like separating the dice roll into something else. And I'm not sure why it was doing that, but that might work. Okay. Save. Absolutely save. Because it works. Thank you, Olivier. I assume that's how you say your name. Sorry if that's wrong. It's also more fun than... It's more fun to try saying things like that. So anyway. Okay. Whoa. Next thing. Okay, I'm actually going to send a message in the Discord right now. Is there a way to pass the selected enemy into the second? Yes, I will test it again. I should also... I need to make another character with different stuff so I can test it against different people. Is there a way to pass the selected enemy into the second action step? I don't want my players to have to choose the same guy twice. Okay. Yes. Now let's go back and test it. Okay. You know what? Let's pretend to run a full encounter. All right. Let's manage combat. Start combat. Must be an exploring mode in order to use this. I don't know what that means. I've never seen that before. Thank you so much for your help. I need to be in explore mode? What does that even mean? Oh, am I currently still playing as you? What is exploring mode? No, it's still fine though. That doesn't matter. I mean, because I've done this before with all of my other tests, and it was fine. I don't know what it is doing now. I will save the map, though, too. Game mode. Manage combat. Start combat. I don't know what exploring mode is. I know it does, but it hasn't before, so that's why I'm confused. I'm doing the same things that I've done for the past 2 days to test it, and now it is wanting to be weird. It might have to do with the update, because this is a new update from what I've been using. But 'tis odd. But, yeah, thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for your help. You kept pushing me to stay with this problem, and I figured it out eventually. Oh, that's not what I want to do. What do you mean, exploring mode? this was working. SMG, no attack block. He can choose to evade. He will choose not to, and he gets hit because SMG has very good attack right in front of you. Oh. Oh. That's incorrect. Okay, I'm gonna try something. I don't know if it's gonna work. I'm gonna try to enter. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I can hear. So
Are you listening to me?
Yes.
Okay, I was with my sound turned off. Can you show me, share your screen? We can do it together.
Yeah. So, can you see it? Can you read everything? Is it clear?
Wait. Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
So, the thing
Okay.
that I was using,
Mhm.
and you can, if you are interested or have time, I was live streaming on YouTube me working through this, and so I can show you what happened. But so I did what you said. I put the if condition in the
Yeah.
resolution, and
Okay,
then
action
added the
step.
new action step. But the problem that
Wait,
I was
wait, 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 wait. Uh, but go up, please. Up, up. Oh, you already have a select enemies there. You don't need the select enemies in the nested. The second select enemies. Get rid of it.
okay. But what was happening, and maybe this is just a glitch or a bug, but what was happening is now that there's no enemies selected for this action step, it just wouldn't do any of these inputs. It wouldn't display them.
Mm.
So if
In, are you sure? Are you sure that the ref is over? Let's look at the ref, please.
Yep.
In the character sheet, not of the enemy, of the actor. Oh no, you wanted the. Sorry. Can you go back to the code? I am sorry.
Yep.
Wait. I am going too fast. I am hyperactive. Oh, to the code, please.
Okay.
Did you see that I put an enlarge and we had now have scale in this screen
I,
as you requested.
I saw that. Thank you. I already had. I've been working on this since before you uploaded that update, I think. So I haven't gotten to try it yet. But I did see that
Okay.
you added that, and I am very excited.
It's already live. You just have to leave Steam and enter Steam again, and you will progress. But let's work on this. Okay, select enemies, input weapon inventory, input field attack luck, which is an integer.
Yep.
Is an integer. It's a number.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, and I should roll d10. Okay, so and this is the enemy. Okay, if the enemy greater than you have enemy inputs. Come on, it should work. Okay, let's go there. If it doesn't work, it's a bug. I will have to look at it.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the enemy character sheet, please, before. Just to make sure. Okay, it's ref 8. 8. You didn't put greater there, did you?
Yes, it's
It's
greater
greater
or
or
equal
greater?
to. It's greater
Oh,
or
okay.
equal.
Then it should work. If it doesn't, it's a bug, and I will have to look at it. Let's go.
Okay, I'm just gonna add luck to make sure that he actually hits.
Okay.
Oh, yep.
Okay. No, it's a bug. You did everything right. It should post there. Let me look again. Let me see if
Yeah, because I was looking at it and I couldn't figure it out, and so then just to try it, I moved this input field up to actor input, and then I ran it again, and it brought up the input field. So I think all of the logic
it's a
is
bug.
right. Okay.
It's a bug. What's your name, please?
My name is Michael.
Okay, Michael. And okay, Michael, I thank you for using criteria. I'm sorry for the bug. Give me the last criteria file and give me. You already gave me give me the enemy also the character sheet, please.
Okay, I've been using the same one for both of them, which is probably
Okay.
not the best to
Okay.
test things, but
Okay. No, no, no. That's okay. That's okay. But I understand the logic. Uh, it should work.
and the rest of the the rest of this the I tested pretty much everything else in this action, and everything else works the way it's supposed to. It's just that one part of not bringing
But
up
it's
the
not your
input.
fault. It's not your fault. It should work. It's it it may be that this input thing is the most complex thing in all my multiverse designer. It's very complex. It still have some hidden bugs. Well, I
Well,
thank you for using it. I let me work. I will work on this right now. I don't like bugs in my software. Okay? It's
well,
like my enemies, you know.
I
I
I
get you.
yeah, I thank you. Thank you for all of the work that you've put into it. I mean, it's very powerful, and it's fun. I'm enjoying working on it.
Thank you. It's okay. We are. I enjoy also look at it. You know, I started this software in the pandemic. Okay, I was locked into my home and started doing it for me to use because I want to use something. I didn't know that it will last for 5 years. It's really okay. It was in 20. It was 5 years ago. Now in May, 5 years that I'm developing. But that's
Wow.
okay. I'm happy. Okay, let's work. I will give me some time. I will try to solve this. Okay, let me look at this. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was a fun little guest appearance from Paolo, the guy who's developing this. That was fun. I'm gonna certainly clip that. Um, but yeah, that was cool. Okay, it was not. That's the first time I've actually been on call with him. Um, he's made videos in response to me working on this. Um, but yeah, this is the first time that I've actually gotten to talk to him. So that was fun. It is almost 9 o'clock. Okay, so I should have also asked him what exploring mode was. Okay, but let's save this. Send it to him. Nope. All right, and now I am going to start working on the exploding and imploding dice because basically everything in the other one is fine now. It had some issues that were me, but now everything is fine. So I can check that off of my project list. Excuse me. The exploding, imploding dice. This is not technically on my next to-do list, but I think that it should be easy. I need to pull up the video that he just made recently for advantage and disadvantage. I'm going to mute it, but I'm going to watch what he does. I'm also going to put it on like ×3 speed. Oh, it's not going to let me do ×3 speed. Weird. I might actually need to hear what you're saying.
For instance, the action step node is very complicated under the hood. It does several things. It's not simply run and forget. There are several things happening here. And if I try to put an action step inside an information and call that info somewhere, the action step will be nested into other action steps. And why is this bad? This is bad because criteria is all about automation. And to automate things, we need to have the least possible number of forms or screens and the least possible number of clicks and so on. What we want to do now is the advantage and disadvantage rule in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now we can do an info to be used in all our rule. And we will use this new section called merged infos in the actor input. So the first thing we need to do is to create an info. And the idea for this info is that all 20 side rows that can has advantage or disadvantage will use this information. And this information will gather input from the player, from the DM, and we roll die and we return the correct value with advantage, with disadvantage, and so on. So let's call this D20 roll. D20 roll. First thing we need is an action step. Okay, and
so
we return
add
an
the
integer,
action step,
which will be the result of the roll. It may be a standard roll or an advantage or disadvantage roll, and the action will be a D20 roll. I will put here another parameter just for the journal. I will call it reason. Why we are rolling the die. So I need a...
I don't need that because I don't need that
string concatenation here.
Because this is just for every D10 roll.
D20 roll. And here's the reason. Parameter value comes here, and the parameter is reason. I will put a space here. I decided to have an input for
actor action. I'm just gonna say roll because it doesn't matter. It's for literally every roll that happens.
To choose if he wants to force some advantage or disadvantage at that particular situation. So I have an input field here. You already know this. And the input field will be... I struggle with the name for this, so I will call it odds. It's difficult because the game itself calls it advantage. Or you have two in the roll dice for reason.
Still not option. Okay. So, really, it's just going to be... Oh, I actually might end up needing to add the reason and plug that in from the other thing. But anyway, we've got a roll dice. It's going to be the actor input. I mean, he has it in GM input. I'm going to copy the way that he does it and then modify for my use. Dice to roll is always D10. Oh, but it's going to plug it in. It's going to plug it in, I think.
Okay. And now we have three options here. Sum, max, or min. So we need to see how the Dungeon Master chooses this and fill these things accordingly.
Okay.
First, the dice to roll. Okay. We will use a switch node here. And I'll put this here. It creates things, you already know that. Or at least you should, if you see the other classes. But I will put a journal here just to show in the journal what it has chosen. It has been chosen by the Dungeon Master. So I will use a choice.
Okay. So this is going to be if oh, okay. So the easiest way to do this, I think, is actually going to be integer parameter 1 name dice. So if parameter, which is parameter value, which is down here somewhere, if parameter value dice equal 10, then roll dice well, okay, hold on. Actually, how do I do this right now? Let's just use the skill check for simple use. So again, this is just the basic skill check that I have, and I have it roll dice here, roll for skill input field. So that has to, no, merged infos. Okay, that's where that goes. Okay.
Well,
Sorry, I haven't done this. This is all new.
Other classes. But I will put a journal here just to show in the journal what it has chosen. It has been chosen by the Dungeon Master. So I will use a choice, I think. Yes, I like that. Choice, the value, the tooltip will be odds. Odds. There's no other way to it. I am open to suggestions on how to call this, okay? But I'm calling it odds. So if it's a standard, the dice to roll is a d20. If it's an advantage or a disadvantage, I need 2 d20s. This is the dice that will be rolled. And now we have something similar for here. We need to fill this with these 3 values. So I need to put this in real time, and I need to fill this with sum or max or minimum. We will, again, this is an odds input field, and switch here. Okay, when it's standard, I will use the sum, because it's the 1 die. When it's the advantage, I will use the max. And then when it's a disadvantage, I will use the minimum result. And I made a mistake. I will let you think about 30 seconds on what mistake I did made. I used the input field here in the same input, and I always told you that these inputs can only be used at the resolution, so I cannot have the roll dice here. It won't work. So I need to nest another action step. In this case, nesting this action step, we do not have a problem. First, because the roll dice will not be run by the GM, it's another error. The roll dice should be run by the actor. So what I will do is to grab this guy and put here. Okay? And this will be another action step.
Okay, so he's nesting action steps again, which is fine. He's got the action step, the GM input field, and then into the resolution. I don't know if I need that. I don't know if I need to nest the action steps. Because right now, I need to just see how he plugs it in.
This is not an expression anymore when we call this info, because it doesn't have a return value. It's a comment. And if we go there, here, now I should be able to get this d20 roll and get into the merged infos. Right, perfect. Okay, and now we have a reason here. We are in ability check, so ability check. So we don't need this actor input anymore, because it will be done by the merged information. And of course, it has to be substituted by the result of this info. So in the places that I used the dice roll, I substitute it for the roll result. Okay?
Interesting. Okay. That's actually not too insanely complicated then. So This is going to move up to actor input. But it doesn't have a parameter. Okay. But if okay. So actor input, roll dice. Dice to roll D10, roll 4. Okay, so I am going to need the reason to roll. That's fine. Actor input, roll dice, roll 4, parameter value, reason. So that's similar to what he did. So this is going to need to go down to the resolution. So in the resolution, if roll dice is equal to 10, then roll dice, roll 4, explode, result sum. And I'm going to save this as a new criteria file. So criteria 0.4. So CPR template 2025.4 added the exploding dice. If it is equal to 10, then roll dice, sum,
and this is how we use an output parameter if you don't know. Okay, and this will be another action step. And this will not create a problem because this will happen at the game master screen and this will happen at the player screen. And now the actor action, I will fill this with anything, because it will not be shown because
yeah. It doesn't look like they have a minus result. He's working on that other thing right now. Okay, so I just sent a message in the Discord asking about the subtract option and asking if he will add that, because that is what I need. So, let's figure out the rest of, like, that's, I can't do anything about that. But, let's figure out the rest. So, if it is equal to 10, I don't think I need a journal unless I just want to add the icon. If resolution, if the dice roll is equal to 10, then do this. If it's not equal to 10, then if equal to 10, then do that. If not, then do nothing. Oh, okay, that's what I can do. If it's equal to 10, else, if it's not equal to 10, then if it is equal to 1, then roll dice. Roll 4. Implode. Okay, so he's asking, what do I mean by a subtract option? I mean, I mean that for a crit fail in CPR, you roll an additional die and subtract its value from the stat plus skill plus first roll. By the end of me working on this and asking him all sorts of questions, he's probably going to know how to run Cyberpunk Red. Just ask, like... Yeah, by the end, he's going to just know the system. Oh, that's actually not what I meant to do. I forgot to copy that. If 10... So, you roll the die. If it is equal to a 10, then um I do want to journal that though. I want to make it like big and dramatic. So we're gonna add the journal node. Icon. Let's look up an explosion. Oh, a number of options. let's do... I like the raise. And then you roll for... But that's so much more effort. So he gave me an option, but that just seems like so much more effort. So we add a roll dice input. Subtract the dice from the sum. Add node. I'm trying to do the thing that you just set up. Ah! That felt very SpongeBob, and I haven't even watched SpongeBob. Um, so okay, let me try that. Okay, so basically just said use the subtract node over here instead of just doing it here. I feel like it doesn't work for me though. Screenshot. It didn't seem to take. Hello? Oh. No, it didn't take. Does not appear to be taking a screenshot. I'm not sure why. Hi, Charlie. Oh, thanks for sneezing right on my hand. Are you not? Why aren't you taking a screenshot? That's so weird. Odd. Well, in that case, I'll use Bandicam. Where'd he go? Oh. Okay, well, this might not work. Or I might have to do this differently. Let's look at fall. Oh, sure. So Steam wants to take a screenshot. Collapse has nothing. Implode has nothing. Shatter. Ooh. They look kind of similar, actually. Implosion. Actually, no. We're going to say journal crit success. Roll for explosion. And then crit fail. Roll for implosion. I like that. See, this is nice and clean. If it'll work this way. If not, then I'll have to rework it, but I don't know how to do that. Ouch. I hit my knee. But I guess I should do, if that is 1, then
I will not create a new journal. I will use the journal that existed in the color. And here I will do the same. This is important for the journal to be one journal only for each action, which I found better. But you may want to have several lines for each action. It's your choice. If you check here, we roll the 20s and we return these values. The sum of one die roll is the result of the die roll.
oh. Oops. Okay, so these have to return. These have to return a value. So I need to Okay, so what he just said was that you cannot have a roll dice in the resolution. So what I might actually do, so the skill-based information that I have, this whole thing, which currently this doesn't have any of the dice rolling. All of the dice rolling happens in the action. Like again, if you look at the thing, here's the dice input right here. And we do the dice input plus the info, or plus the skill base. If we combine them and have all of the exploding dice mechanics in the skill base value. Well, no, they should be separate. have not been paying attention to if I have any viewers, but it does not appear that I do, so that's okay. You want to, like, do the thing that I want you to do, please? It is not. That's fine.
And or the best of the both rows of the least of both rows. This is exactly what we want. So how can we use this? You remember that we have here a D20 row, and we'll substitute this row for that info. But we don't need to call that info before the action we need an action step. We want everything to be glued together. So I created this merged infos input. What we need to do is simply put this here. Oh, I made a mistake. No, I not made a mistake. This returns the values. So that's not what I want to do. This is important. I will let the mistake pass. I will correct this. This wants a comment, and since this returns a value, it cannot be dropped here. It has to be dropped in an expression. So what I will do is I will return here. I will not return any value here. Instead, I will create an output parameter with the result. Raw result. This is a return value. It doesn't have, this is a return parameter, call it raw result. And we will not have a return value anymore. And instead, we need a return parameter node. It's almost the same, but you choose the parameter here, and you drop the value here. And we don't have this anymore. Okay. So now, this is not an expression anymore when we call this info, because it doesn't have a return value. It's a comment. And if we...
Okay. Okay. So, we've got can an info call another info? Theoretically. But I shouldn't do that. No. It should just be in the action. So, instead of doing the roll dice, dice result right here should be the merged thing. So we need another parameter. Parameter 2 is return. And it is I'm just going to do what he did, roll result. So then at the bottom of this, the nest action steps. Oh, have another action step in the resolution. Okay. So, actor input, roll the dice. Parameter value, whatever the skill is, whatever the value is. Result sum. In the resolution, you have another action step. Put that if there. And that actually might work. Roll dice for that. If that... Actually, yeah, that should work perfect. So... Actor... Action... here would be crit. Don't do the journal. If it rolls a d10, if it rolls a 10, crit success. If it rolls a 1, crit fail. And then... Oh! No. Okay, wait. So, crit success. And then you take, in the resolution, return parameter, roll result. Value. Do I do a branch? Hmm. Okay. If, then roll dice, and actually no, get rid of that. Add first value to second value. If that, then that equals 1, journal crit fail, and oh, sorry guys, I'm zoning. um Okay. Okay. Oops. I don't know what I just did. Okay. If I think I do need a branch, but I might need 2 of them. I don't know how to branch like this. Ah! Action step. Actor input. Roll the dice.
Go there, here. Now I should be able to get this D20 roll and get into the merged infos. Right, perfect. Okay, and now we have a reason here. We are in ability check, so ability. Here. Now I should be able.
I don't know where to go from here. Okay. If the dice result is equal to 10, crit success, roll another d10. You know what I could do? This might not be the best way to do this, but it'll work, I think. If same if same condition. If that, then return roll result of add. Else, I'm just gonna do the same thing. Else, if that is true, then roll for actually Okay. If it's equal to 1, then you then return roll result. But this is now a subtract. What just happened? Oh, I got rid of the other one too. Gotcha. I'm sure there's a cleaner way to do this. But let's just see. So, if else return parameter result of the first roll. I'm sure there's a cleaner way to do this, but this should work for now. Let's throw it into the skill base. Not the skill base. Let's throw it into the skill check. And so we will throw it into merged infos. So we're going to throw it into the merged infos. Boop. Boop. What? But we're returning a value.
An expression anymore when we call this info because it doesn't have a return value. It's a comment. And if we go there, here.
Oh, did I click the wrong thing?
Now I should be able to get this. Go there, here, raw result. This is a return value. It doesn't have, this is a return parameter, call it raw result. And we will not have a return value anymore. And instead, we need a return parameter node. It's almost the same, but you choose it.
Ah. Okay, that should work now. Actions. Skill check. Merged infos. There we go. Reason. Now we get rid of this. to steal you. Boop. And you get deleted. And now, instead of these dice results, something's looking weird here. So why is it letting me do that?
The parameter here, and you drop the value here, and you don't have this anymore. Okay. So now this is not an expression anymore when we call this info because it doesn't have a return value. It's a comment. And if we go there, here, now I should be able to get this D20 row and got into the merged infos. Right. Perfect. Okay. And now we have a reason here. We are in ability check. So ability check. So we don't need this actor input anymore because it will be done by the merged information. And of course, it has to be substituted by the result of this info. So in the places that I use the dice row, I substitute it for the raw result. Okay? And this is how we use.
Alright, so that's the same thing then. So he does it the same way that I'm doing it. So just like that. Enemy input. Cool. Okay, let's try the skill check. Okay, let's try that. So a basic skill check. Skill check. Let's use whatever, stealth. Oh, all right. Now it's just gonna be. Oh, I forgot to set the DV. That's fine. That's irrelevant. Skill check. It's also irrelevant. I want a 10. There's a 1. Okay, roll for implosion. Can't see it. 9. Rolled a 1. 8, 9. Okay, well, where's the journal? Where's my imploding dice journal? Because that's working fine. It equaled 1. It rolled again, but it didn't do the journal. Well, so I changed it to be an immediate dice roll, and it worked. So I think it is working. So we rolled a 10. Roll d10. Concentration 2, will is 7. So that's a 9. We rolled a 10, which would be 19. But then we rolled another 10? Now I'm confused. And why is it not journaling? If that equals that, let's do that and see what happens. Okay. Gotcha. So it's doing something not what I wanted to do. Let's look back at this. Let's look at these actions, shall we? So it did journal that time, so that is what that was missing. I just need to move this to be down there. Oh, no, not there actually. Come on. Why did you have to get that checked? Ugh. Oh. Mm. I don't need to tell me that. So it told me this. Oh. Alrighty. No idea if I've had any more viewers, but whatever. Move my mouse less. I don't want it to be separate like this, though. Ah. I mean, you do all your stuff, right? Hmm. Hmm.
Use an output parameter. If you don't know, you just drag from here and choose the output parameter. In this way, you can have multiple output parameters from an information. You will remember that we already have game master inputs here specific to this action, and we don't have an actor input. Everything is for the game master here. The only thing that was actor input was the roll die. Okay, but now we have a merged info here, and this info has things that the game master will do and things that the actor will do. We will now test this, and we'll choose the quick dice roll, and now with the ability check. And you will notice that the odds are now merged here because all of this is the game master input. So I will choose advantage. Accept, and I rolled a 9 and 12, and it's a success because I have advantage.
All right, guys. Well, I hope that anyone who has tuned in has enjoyed me working on criteria, solving some problems, having a guest appearance from Paolo himself. But I'm going to be done streaming. I might do a little bit more tonight. Probably not, though. Might do some more tomorrow. We shall see. I was off today. I'm not off tomorrow, but I still have a lot of time in the day to do stuff. So we will see. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. I solved the problem. He fixed the bug that was causing it, and got some good stuff done. So I am happy for that. Thank you everyone for watching. My name is Michael. This is Multiverse Designer, the criteria alpha to really work on the programming behind the scenes. If you have enjoyed, please like and subscribe. I will probably be back on here tomorrow to see